My ex found out I kept the lake house and showed up asking when she could move in. 10 years ago, my fiancé left me 3 weeks before our wedding, and the worst part wasn't even losing her. It was losing the $47,000 lake house I'd secretly bought as her wedding gift. It was her grandparents' old place, the one she'd shown me in photos since our second date. 3 bedrooms, a wraparound porch, and a dock. She used to cry talking about how her family lost it after her grandparents died because her aunts fought over the inheritance. I saved for years, worked overtime, skipped trips, and when it hit the market in January, I emptied my savings and bought it without telling anyone. I planned to surprise her at the reception with the keys. Then she went to Miami for her bachelorette trip and came back acting like a different person. She wouldn't look at me at dinner and kept saying she was tired. 2 days later, she cried and said she needed space. Wasn't ready. Maybe we moved too fast. I asked if something happened in Miami, and she kept saying she was just confused. A week later, a mutual friend told me her high school boyfriend had been in Miami the same weekend. 2 weeks after that, she moved to Florida. 6 months later, she posted engagement photos with him. I was sitting there with a lake house, a canceled wedding, and about $200 left in my checking account. My parents told me to sell it and move on. I almost did, but I couldn't make myself do it. Keeping it felt stupid, but selling it felt worse. So I kept it and fixed it up little by little for years. New roof, new kitchen, floors redone, paint, plumbing. I worked in the city, and my parents lived nearby, so they helped meet contractors and sent me pictures when I couldn't get there. Then lockdown happened. My job went remote, and I moved into the lake house full time. I started working from the porch, looking out at the water every morning, and it stopped feeling like a mistake. It felt like home. Last summer, my whole family came for 4th of July. We did boat rides, grilled, and watched fireworks from the dock. My sister-in-law took a ton of pictures and used one in her Christmas card. The whole family was on the dock with the house behind us, and somehow that card got to my ex's cousin. The Saturday before New Year's, I was making coffee when someone knocked. I opened the door and saw my ex's mom and sister standing like no time had passed. Her mom looked past me, then at me, and said, "Is this the lake house? My parents' house?" I said, "It's the same house, yes, and it's mine." She said they wanted to make an offer and could pay cash that day. I told her it wasn't for sale. Her sister laughed and said, "Come on, you don't even have a family. It's too much house for one guy." Then she named a number like she was doing me a favor. I said no again and closed the door. They argued on my porch for a few minutes before leaving. 3 days later, my phone rang with a Florida number, and it was my ex for the first time in 9 years. She didn't say hello. She started with, "You're unbelievable. You knew how much that house meant to me. How could you keep this from me all these years?" I said, "Keep what from you? It's my house." She made a laugh and said, "Right, your house. The one you bought for me." Then she said she knew I'd been holding on to it, waiting for her to come back. I laughed because I thought she was joking. She wasn't. Then she said, "So when can I move in?" I said, "What are you talking about?" She sighed like I was the difficult one and said I didn't have to do the whole chase thing anymore. She said she was getting divorced. The timing was perfect, and the house was meant for her anyway. I told her my girlfriend and I were getting married at that house this summer, so absolutely not. There was a long silence. Then she started yelling. She called me petty, obsessed, and cruel for using her family memories against her. I told her never to call me again. She said, "If you loved me enough to buy it, you still love me enough to give it back." I hung up. Since New Year's, she's called 47 times and left voicemails that went from fake sweet to angry to unhinged. Yesterday, while I was on a work call, my doorbell camera kept going off. It was her mom again, and this time she brought a lawyer. I ended my call, walked outside, and the lawyer started talking before I got to the steps. He said his client believed there was a moral claim because I originally bought the house for their daughter, and selling it back would avoid conflict. I told him a moral claim isn't a legal claim. Her mom cut in and said I was stealing from family. I went inside, came back with my closing papers and deed, and handed copies to the lawyer. Then I pointed at the doorbell camera and said if any of them came back again or kept calling, my next call would be the police for harassment and trespassing. The lawyer looked at the papers, looked at her, and told her they needed to leave. Now my family is saying I was too harsh at the door. Was I wrong?